So let's talk a little bit about syntactic EyeLands constraints. What is that? And they basically involve wh dependencies. So for example, consider this kitty. He's very cute. This kitty was bought as a present for someone. Lily thinks this kitty is pretty. So suppose you want to ask about this situation. Who does Lily think the kitty for is pretty? There is something wrong with that. That's why the sad face there. This does not sound okay, even though you get what you're trying to ask, but you can't ask it that way, right? Maybe you have to do something more like this. What does Lily think is pretty, and who does she think it's for? Like, that's okay, but you can't do it this way. And, the question is why not, right? What's going on? And one answer is that there is a dependency between the WH word who and where it's understood after for. Who does Lily think the kitty for? Who's that kitty for? And this dependency is just not allowed in English. It's not okay. You don't like it. You just prefer it. It's unacceptable, however you want to think about this. And one explanation is that the dependency crosses what's called a syntactic island, a structure that you're not allowed to cross. So the metaphor, right, is that you're on an island. In this case, say the gap is on an island, and you're stuck on an island. You can't get off an island, right? There's no way to cross that island. So the idea is that a dependency crossing an island structure is not okay because it's an island. So somehow you have to know that. This particular one has been called a subject island. A couple of other ones just to give you the flavor of this. Here's Jack. Jack Sparrow is somewhat tricksy. He claimed he bought something. What did Jack make the claim that he bought? Again, not so great there, and the idea of this dependency is not allowed because it's a complex NP island. But consider our tricksy Jack. He claimed he bought something, and Elizabeth wondered if he actually did, because, he's not that reliable. And if so, what it was, right? We might want to ask, what did Elizabeth wonder whether Jack bought? That also doesn't sound so good in English. And this is a weather island. Go back to tricksy Jack. He claimed he bought something. Elizabeth worried it was something dangerous because Jack is known again to do quite crazy things. So we might want to ask about this. What did Elizabeth worry if Jack bought? Which again, doesn't sound so great. And that's an adjunct island, right? So the important thing is that, these are bad, and it's not, or it seemed to be, unacceptable, however you want to think about this. It's not about the length of the dependencies. You might think, well, these are kind of long. Maybe that's the problem. And just to show you this, we can start with a shorter one. What did Elizabeth think? That's okay. We can embed another clause inside. What did Elizabeth think Jack said? That's fine. We can keep going. What did Elizabeth think Jack said Lily saw? Right? This is pretty long, but it's, and maybe you forget kind of who did what to who at some point, but it's not bad in the way that these are. And the idea is that these are trying to cross syntactic islands, which they shouldn't, and this one isn't, right? That's the explanation, or at least one explanation for what's going on. So in general, higher SES adults judge these dependencies up here as being far worse than many others, including others that are actually pretty similar, except that they don't cross syntactic islands, right? So these judgments are a measurable, observable behavior that signal the successful acquisition of this knowledge about constraints on WH dependencies, which we can talk about as syntactic island knowledge, but just knowing which dependencies are far worse than others, right? That's the syntactic island knowledge, and that's, again, the behavior that we can measure. So from our perspective of development, these judgments can serve as a target for successful acquisition. If you can generate these judgments, if you think these are far worse than many others, you've got the right knowledge, whatever that is, right? And that's an outcome that we can measure.